All right, everybody. So I got my chart pulled up here, and I know there's a lot going on. I'm going to break it down for you. But also, real quick, everybody who's at home listening or whatever, you're at work and you're on Spotify or something where it's just audio, highly recommend you check out our YouTube. Our YouTube link is in the show notes, and you can see these charts that we're going to talk about. So here's an interesting, kind of fundamental slash technical trade idea. I put this out in our channel. And just wanted to, I like teaching everybody how to do TA, technical analysis, and also we do a lot of fundamental analysis. So I always start from a fundamental standpoint, and synthetics is one of these, perpetual trading platforms. Full disclosure, I have exposure. Affiliates of mine, you guys know I run a hedge fund. Our hedge fund has exposure. Always want to be clear about that. And this is not investment advice. I'm not telling you to go out and buy it. You guys got to make your own decisions. Okay, but why I like it is from a fundamental standpoint, they just voted to get rid of all of their inflation. And so obviously during this big run up was kind of the Spartan Council going to vote saying we're going to get rid of inflation. So that makes this, a little bit, more scarce of an asset when you're not going to be printing, infinite amounts more of it. You have a little bit more definition to what's going to be happening. So anyhow, I put this chart out a few days ago to our channel. I said there's 7 reasons why I'm pretty bullish on this outside of the fundamentals. You have this resistance that's now turning into support, right? So you kind of have that principle of polarity where we have the resistance flipped into support. You've got the 200-day moving average, which is right here. You came back, you retested it, found support. You got the volume point of control, which is the most actively traded price point, acting as support as well. You had a breakout from it, a retest. You've got this anchored volume weighted average price from the lows. This is clearly acting as resistance, and now flipped with the breakout to support. And you got a falling wedge. I mean, this is a classic. I think Charles Bukowski, who's one of these great sort of traders who has a really cool blog, and there's a bunch of different statistics around the probabilities of these breakouts. I think it's like 60 to 70% chance that these end up being bullish patterns. So you're breaking out of a falling wedge, and then you've got declining volume in the pullback. So you had a really big climactic move up. You've got declining volume on the pullback. It means, there's not a ton of sellers pushing prices down. So anyhow, we put the alert out, and very shortly after, you could see this started to actually, break out of that falling wedge and start to move higher. And so we felt pretty vindicated here on this, and we've got much higher price targets for SNX kind of in the near term and obviously the long term. I mean, this thing's at $1 billion market cap, and if it really does become the de facto sort of liquidity protocol for perpetual swaps and futures and derivatives, I mean, $1 billion market cap, you could easily see this 10x without any inflation. So you just have price appreciation. 10x, that's a $10 billion market cap, and that's still tiny compared to what this could actually be. So anyhow, put that out. And then one other chart I wanted to show you here. Okay, so one other coin, again, one letter off, STX, not SNX, but very kind of similar chart if you think about it. You had a midterm resistance at $1.30 from March 2023. You had it again back here in December of 2023. Couldn't get above $1.30 to save our life. Every time you got there, kind of broke down. We finally had a big breakout and a retest. You could see these wicks right here, these shadows. The wicks, whatever you want to call them, they successfully retested $1.30. That was a pretty long-term resistance that's now turned into a support. Now, zooming in, again, we posted this. The price of SNX was $1.61. It's now $2.13. Hit that first target at the highs. And so kind of zooming in here, what do we see? We see a couple things. Number 2, we have a breakout above the 20-day and the 50-day moving average, which is right here. You also have a bullish recross of those. So you had the death cross. Now you got another golden cross. So you're in bullish territory. That's pretty, a very good sign. And also the 200-day moving average is way down here. So this trend is way above that long-term trend, which is, an indication of a lot of strength. You also had a breakout of this short-term kind of resistance, this horizontal resistance that had capped price. And you also had this diagonal resistance that was forming, a bit of a bull flag. So once we kind of broke out from that diagonal, broke out from the horizontal, confirmation, right? Boom. all systems go. And not only that, you also had a really great consolidation and breakout from a volume point of control. So you had confirmation of volume on the breakout. So again, STX from a fundamental standpoint, also these anchored volume weighted average prices from pretty key levels in the past, those all acted as support too. So excited about what's going on there. And then from a fundamental standpoint, STX has a big upgrade coming. It's going to make it a lot faster and all that good stuff. But real quick, while we have the charts out, let's take a look at a chart of Bitcoin, just a long-term chart. It had this just nasty falling wedge, kind of broke out of it. And then again, fractals, right? Like the diagonal, the horizontal, once you break out, it just send the gas. So all of our, kind of resistances have been broken. Now we are fighting a little bit with this resistance from April of 2022, which was kind of the last stand. The bears really held up and then just drove price lower with the credit market liquidation in crypto with Terra and Voyager and BlockFi and Celsius and all that stuff. So we've retraced all of that. It's a good sign. If you kind of throw on a weekly chart, I want to get rid of all this stuff. And I want to just throw on like a MACD. This is a moving average convergence divergence. So it's an indicator that shows your momentum. And let's just brighten it up for the folks in back and get that going. And so you could see, momentum here has been rising along with sort of the trend, right? The trend and the momentum. This is a custom 20-day, 50-day Elder Impulse system, these colored bars. So you can see that we've got confirmation of a confluence of positive trend, positive momentum. You had, kind of a bullish recross here of momentum above the zero line, right? The zero line is kind of the line in the sand that shows kind of when the MACD is below it, you're kind of in bullish or bearish territory, and when it's above it, it's bearish. Wow, okay, I just botched that. When it's below, it's bearish. When it's above, it's bullish. But you could see that this recross happened above the zero line, which is just a classically bullish signal, and that was that signal to break out here. And then you also saw what kind of was an attempted bearish crossover that you kind of very similarly above the zero line have something similar like this. So momentum was slowed down, it reset, and then you had a breakout. So we got a confirmation of the trend. We got a confirmation of some long-term momentum. This 20-week moving average acted as some very strong support. That volume point of control acted as support. So from a long-term standpoint, Bitcoin's still bullish. This is not showing many signs of slowing down. And Ether as well. Ether's trading very similarly to Bitcoin, almost in lockstep. But the Ethereum ETF is on the horizon. I saw Franklin Templeton just announced that they're launching, they filed for an Ethereum ETF, and many of the other issuers of the Bitcoin ETF are all launching the Ethereum ETF, pending approval. May 23rd is kind of the deadline that everybody's looking at. ETH has still a long ways to go. Very excited about ETH. Taking a look at ETH BTC, things are still sort of in this stair step down. We haven't broken out. We haven't gotten into a full bullish altcoin sort of season. If you were looking at ETH BTC as a proxy, still in a downtrend, but we've had this sort of arrow drawn for quite some time, and this green order block basically is still holding up as support. Things are neutral here in the altcoin land when priced in terms of Bitcoin. You could also kind of see that as evidence here in the Bitcoin dominance chart. The Bitcoin dominance chart is still rising, meaning Bitcoin's market share is growing faster than the altcoins, which kind of would be expected with the launch of the Bitcoin ETF. But the halving is coming up right here, very soon, less than 60 days, sometime in April. The window consistently shifts based on the mining power, but we should see it sometime here within the month of April. And historically, Bitcoin dominance starts to fall following a halving. So this will be the fourth halving. You could see here was the third halving right here, May of 2020. Bitcoin dominance, fell following the halving. Again, going back to the second halving, Bitcoin dominance took a huge spill after the second halving. So we're just looking at a couple, historical data points. Prices for altcoins tend to do really well in this sort of season. So